coming to help, Lene?
Yeah! I like to help!
You gonna pull the sleigh?
We are getting ready to take the 10-hour round trip drive into the city. We do this whole trip and shopping in one day, and we try not to do this more than 3 times-ish a year. We try to order everything to the post office so we don't have to make the trip, but there are a few things that we do need to go down to get. We are packing today. We're gonna make some meals for the road, and then we also take some necessary supplies in case we get in a jam or we come across other people that are in a jam. This trip, the majority of it does not have any cell service. Pretty remote roads, though they are traveled. One thing that we always keep in the car, even if we're going to the nearest town, which is about an hour and a half away, is a backpack with some basic survival gear in it. So if you go off the road, you might be there for a little while. You might not see someone else, so we always like to be really prepared. So with a few of the things that we put in this backpack, we call it our travel backpack, and it stays in the car. One of the very important things is the sat phone, or the satellite phone. So we take this with us even if we are going just to the nearest town, which is about an hour and a half away, because there is no service the whole way there. If you get in a car crash or if you get hurt, you can call, text folks back home. You can track yourself with maps and whatnot, so it is super, super handy in the backcountry. So that always comes with us. We take a basic medical bag, bandages, tourniquets, that sort of thing, blood clotting medicine for wounds and that. We also take these hand warmers, which are really, really handy. You can put them inside your coat or on your back, and they will last for a really long time and help keep you warm. We take a little cooker too, so a little propane stove cooker, so we can cook our meals on the road, but it's also good if you needed to boil water or do something else like that. And then we take some dehydrated meals as well, some emergency food. We have not actually tried this brand before. We usually eat Heather's Choice, which is an Alaskan-made dehydrated meal company, which are really, really good. They're just one that we had, so we're gonna keep this in our backpack.
Okay, so we're gonna make our trip to the city tomorrow. It's about a 10-hour round trip, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over the car, make sure all the fluids are topped off, make sure the tires are full, and I'm gonna add another gas can here. I've been in a position before where the only gas station within 140 miles was closed or out of fuel, so it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, and that's a good rule of thumb up here. If you're traveling in Alaska, especially the interior of Alaska, it's important that your car's winterized. A good set of tires is crucial when you're driving on these roads in the winter. They're very remote. They can be very icy. We have no key and 10s on the car. They are studded. There's some debate up here whether or not studded tires are better than unstudded tires. I like the studded tires. I'm happy with them. But more importantly than studs, what you really want is a tire that's soft when it gets cold. Most tires just kind of turn to hockey pucks and they don't really grip into the ice. These tires here, they stay nice and soft even when it's really cold, and they stick to the road really well. If you're traveling to Alaska, a good thing to do is have your car winterized. You know, the antifreeze in this car is rated for -50. The windshield washer fluid's rated for -50. We have a plug in the front, so when it's really cold, you can heat the motor. The car has a block heater. Some of the cars up here have multiple heaters. This one just has a block heater. So on a really cold morning, I can bring the little generator out, plug the car in, let the generator run for a few hours before we come out and try to start it. We have a lithium battery in the car, so it can start in negative temps. It's no fun to break down up here. Tows can be really expensive, especially if you're a ways out. I'm gonna go ahead, go over the car, and then it should be ship shape for tomorrow's ride. Must have checked it in Anchorage and not flipped it back on, huh? Low. Yeah, hopefully it's not leaking. That's low. The oil in the car was low, which is a surprise because we just had it changed. Good thing I checked it. Yeah, this was a quart low. Also notice this is missing.
What's that?
I don't know, it's like a bolt. This thing in the air filter was open. And they crushed my oil plug. It's full, brake fluid's full.
So we're gonna make some snacks for the road. I'm gonna do some thyme and sea salt sourdough crackers. These crackers are super easy if you're new to sourdough. This is a great discard recipe to start with. I have my two starters here. One is old and one I just made, but both are in need of feeding. So I'm gonna discard about half of the jar out of each of those into this bowl first step. So I did maybe about a good healthy cup of sourdough discard, and then I'm gonna add some water, again, maybe a cup of water to that, and mix it up with my salt. All right, now that the discard and the water and the salt are all mixed, I'm gonna add my flour. I'm gonna do about 3 cups, but you wanna add just enough to have a nice dry dough so when you knead it and roll it out, it isn't sticky. Thyme and a little more salt too. Now that that is mixed in, I'm gonna flour my hands and just start kneading this a little bit until it's workable to the point where I can roll it out into a nice, maybe 1/4 inch thick dough to cut my crackers. You can make a lot of variations of this cracker or these crackers. During salmon season, I love to make a dill garlic sea salt one for our salmon dip. You can also do like a sweet one with honey and cinnamon. Another really good variation for these crackers, these sourdough crackers, is like a cheese cracker. So you take a bunch of shredded cheese, maybe a cup, and then put that in the flour before you mixed it all together, and it is really, really good. It's also time to feed both these starters. So both are just dead not active. I eyeball all my feedings. You can absolutely measure your flour if you want to be more exact. Both of these get some flour and some water. Just mixed, just so it's like a really thick pancake batter.
Lena loves these.
Lena loves them. Okay.
How are the crackers?
Good.
Do you like them?
They're good.
Here. Some fresh sourdough crackers.
You're gonna have to give one to the cracker toll.
So I am gonna get started on our tomato soup for our dinner for the ride home. We're gonna put some hamburger in this soup to have some protein for dinner in there. I don't have any canned tomato. This is actually my last jar of tomato paste, so we're gonna have to pick that up when we go to the city tomorrow too. I like to start my tomato soup out with a base of, I'll do a little olive oil, and then I will infuse the olive oil with some very finely chopped garlic, maybe 3 cloves or so. I'm gonna throw some oregano and some basil in there. I cook my grass-fed beef in that, and then I'm gonna add this whole can of tomato paste and then a little bit of moose bone broth on the top of that. Let that simmer for at least a half hour to an hour, and then we're ready to go. For lunch, we are gonna take some of our low bush cranberry bread and make some grilled cheese sandwiches, and then gonna have a little summer sausage on the side.
So it's about 3:30 a.m. here. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car, and we're gonna start making our way down to the city. Oh, it's 19 degrees out, which isn't too bad. Definitely could be a lot worse. Well, it's about 3:30 in the morning here. We're about to make the 5.5-hour trip into Palmer, Alaska. We'll do a little shopping there, and then we have to head to Anchorage, which is a little further. Anchorage is about 6 hours from here. It's about 19 degrees out. It should be a beautiful ride. Water and snacks and soup for dinner.
My favorite.
So we are on our way. Dennis popped in here to try to get some milk for our coffee. We're gonna fill up our gas. We have about a couple hundred miles left to go on our trip. We're about 75 miles from the cabin. So we're gonna keep heading down. So we have made it down to Palmer. We are gonna make our first stop, which is a coffee hut. Alaska has some of the best coffee ever, believe it or not, and that is one of our guilty pleasures that we do. When we go into the city, we'll buy a coffee. Then we're gonna start our shopping. We're gonna go to the grocery store first, get some dry goods. We're gonna go to the meat shop and get some tallow or some suet to render down into tallow for cooking. And last but not least, we're gonna go to the herb shop. First stop is the grocery store. We're gonna get some more dry goods, some flour, some salt, a few miscellaneous items for Christmas, and then we're gonna head over to the meat shop and get our bulk suet to render down into tallow.
Mommy, can I help you pick out the Christmas items?
So that was a success. We got all our dry goods, we got our Christmas stuff, everything needed for the holiday. Now we are gonna head over to Matt Valley Meats. We're gonna buy some bulk suet, and then we're gonna render that down into tallow when we get home.
Where do you want to go with this? Well, rendering day.
Okay, we are at the herb shop. We forage a lot of our herbs, but for things we cannot get and when we want to get some good raw local honey, we go to this place here.
We're going to run over to Anchorage, stop at Best Buy, and then we're going to spin around and head home. So we're at Best Buy now. We're going to run in, grab some things, and then we're going to start heading home.
Canning jars and an extra big stock pot.
Let me get the beef.
That is the final store we're going to be stopping in today, and we are ready to head back to the homestead.
We're gonna go make a quick, I guess you could call it, lunch/dinner. So we're pulled over at this nice little pull-off here. We're gonna make a late lunch. That's the Matanuska River flowing behind me. It flows off the Matanuska Glacier. Palmer, Alaska is down in what's called the valley. It is just that, a valley. In order to get home, we gotta go out of the valley, so we gotta climb all the way up those mountains behind me there. It's a fun ride. It's not too fun in the dark, especially if you don't know your way up it, but we've done this ride a few times now, so we're not too worried about it.
We have our soup here, our tomato and grass-fed beef soup that we made yesterday. It's kind of lukewarm now that it's been in the thermos all day, so we're gonna use our little handy camp stove and heat it up. This thing is awesome. We bring it everywhere with us when we're on the road, especially when we come to beautiful little pull-offs like this. Bite and then keep going back to the homestead. I'm gonna go serve her.
It's really good soup.
It came out really good. It was like an Italian seasoned soup, but like a rich tomato.
It's not like a tomato soup.
I don't know. It's like almost like a minestrone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. It's not sharp like tomato soup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's acidic?
Yeah, it's not as acidic.
With the
Well, that was great, but we still got about another 4 or so hours left on our drive home. We're gonna head straight up that mountain there, right till we get to the top. This is a wild road. We're heading up this mountain now, heading out of the valley. A lot of times you'll have beautiful driving the whole trip, and then the second you get to the top of this mountain, you'll hit a snowstorm. It's happened to us a time or two. It can be really rough at night, especially if you hit a good one. We're driving this same drive a few weeks ago, and we hit a snowstorm when we got to the top of the mountain, and you couldn't see for the last 100 or so miles home. Was just whiteout conditions. So hopefully when we get up there it's not snowing, but usually warm weather like this is an indicator that, you know, there's snow or something going on.
It's a Palomino when he did a fast gallop.
You went so fast on that horse, Lena.
Quicken.
You were a quick.
We're finally home.
Fresh home. Well, we're back at the homestead. That was a long day. It was about 17 hours, so yeah. We're gonna go ahead and unload the car, and we're gonna get some sleep.
Came home to 2 more eggs in the coop. I'm gonna get these before they freeze overnight. Hello, girls.
Luckily, it's been one of those unusual winters where it's, you know, mid-December and we don't have a lot of snow. I've been able to keep the road coming in here open with just the ATV, which I definitely did not think I'd be able to do, especially this late in the season. But we were able to drive the car to the house, which is definitely a good thing, especially where it's where I'm exhausted, and I would really hate to go down to the road with the snowmobile on a sled and start bringing all this stuff up.
Yay.
Tired. Anything new that Dookie don't like.
So we actually use this for dry storage, and we have our freezers on the porch and just use a cooler for refrigeration. We try to keep our energy uses very, very low. So this is really just dry storage. And some of the things that we don't produce on our homestead that we do use, like we get some raisins, we got some pecans for the holidays, that sort of thing, and whatnot for holiday stuff, although we don't really use a lot of sugar in our house generally. So we live in a tiny home, technically. This is like a tiny cabin. So there's not a lot of freezer space or refrigerator space, but we live in a cold climate. So we use what a lot of folks call redneck freezer or hillbilly freezer, an outdoor freezer. So we just throw our freezers on the porch where they stay naturally cold, obviously, because we are very cold, and we keep our meat in them frozen solid. So I'm gonna go through here, kind of try to organize some of this stuff. We are gonna be rendering down about 70 pounds of beef tallow soon. So I'm gonna keep that towards the top. We're gonna do that within the next few days because we're running low on our cooking oil. I'm gonna put this away and get to bed.
Well, we got home just in time last night. We beat the snow. We got about 5 inches this morning, so I'm gonna get to cleaning this up.
We are finishing up getting all the snow cleaned up. I'm gonna start on breakfast so Dennis has something warm to eat when he comes inside. Our daughter's favorite breakfast is sourdough pancakes. So we are gonna whip up some chai spice sourdough pancakes and eat this for breakfast today. I'm gonna start with my sourdough discard, a little maple, some water, and an egg. And then I'm gonna mix that all around. And then I'm gonna add my dry ingredients, my flour, maybe a cup and a half of flour, a couple teaspoons of salt, a good teaspoon of my homemade chai spice, and a little baking powder too, maybe like a teaspoon of baking powder to get them really puffy and nice. You gonna tuck the underside?
Yeah.
Careful of the pan.
Oh.
That's okay. Here.
This is a little slipper.
Go ahead. Try that. How's that underside?
All cooked.
All cooked?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, thank you. I love sourdough pancakes. Was it delicious?
Dry.
One of my favorite things about fresh snow is that you can really see who's been around. So then we got some fresh powder down. Me and Amy are going to take a ride around and see what type of tracks we can see and see who's been in the neighborhood. I haven't found a way to take this cover off without dumping it all over.